back to the Hooligans pitch. I am here with a very, very special guest, probably Canada's #1 fan in the world of football. Theo, the man, the myth, the legend. The man who we have not met in person yet, but have been friends for almost 8 years, which is pretty crazy. I was a sophomore in college when we ran into each other from, how many miles is that? Roughly 3,000 to 4,000 miles apart?
Yeah, for
Long,
sure.
long ways. So Theo, welcome. Glad to have you on. You were actually our second guest on the show, first on camera. You are headed to the World Cup. You are the only person I know headed to Qatar. Might be the only person I ever meet going to Qatar. What's your timeline looking like? When do you take off? What games are you going to see? Who are you excited to watch? Take it away.
All right. Well, we're recording this on the Monday before our departure, so the Monday before the World Cup gets underway. We leave on Saturday. We'll spend a day in Paris. We're breaking up the trip a little bit to not have a 14-hour flight, and Paris to Doha is 6 hours. So that's on Monday, like a week from today. I'll be flying into Doha, and yeah, that's the timeline. And we're gonna be there for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
We for the group stage, we'll get into which games we're going to, but yeah, it's basically a Canada trip.
Absolutely. And you're going to all Canadian games? Are you going to see anyone else?
Yeah, we're going to see the three Canada games. So our first game will be Canada against Belgium.
Super exciting. Just stop on that one. What are you most excited to see from Canada's viewpoint against what I would call maybe the favorite to win the World Cup this year in Belgium?
Yeah, they are one of the favorites for sure. They're coming to the end of their golden generation. This is it for them. If they don't do it this time, it'll be who knows how long before Belgium's back in a final. So what am I excited about? Well, the thing that's really exciting is that Canada's underestimated everywhere, despite winning CONCACAF handily. We still have a huge underdog tag on us. We're comfortable with that. We love it. And Belgium's defense is a little shaky and slow, and our strength is speedy attacking players. And so, look, I know that Belgium is favorite to win this game by a lot, but there's a universe where Canada actually goes out and shocks the world. It's not unheard of in the World Cup for a favorite to lose or tie their first game. And these guys, this team is so together. This is what their strength was in qualifying. They call it their brotherhood. Our coach is a mind genius. Like psychologically, he's one of the top coaches in the world. I'm not trying to hype him. He's just amazing. John Herdman. So he's got these guys chomping at the bit. One of our players, his name is Alistair Johnston. He's a right back. He plays for Montreal, and he's going to play in Europe after the winter break. I almost guarantee it.
How old is he?
He's 24.
Okay. My favorite part of Canada is how young they are. And this window is pretty big for them. And this is just the start of it.
Yeah. So Johnston was talking about, he was asked the question like, oh, are you guys prepared to take on a giant like Belgium? And he responded that he received a package from Herdman that was 64 pages on his position and how to play it against Belgium. And he said that all the players are receiving these packages and devouring them. They are so into it. They want to do this. And so, yeah, there's a universe where they shock the world.
This has a lot of vibes when the United States played Belgium in the round of 16s in 2014. It feels like that same energy, maybe not as much pressure because it is in the group stages.
Is that the Tim game where he made like 37 saves?
16 to be precise, but yeah, it felt like 30 something. Yeah, that was a super exciting game, but that was a young Belgium team too. So that was probably right in the middle of their window. Now you're seeing them at the end, and Canada's coming in right at the beginning of their window. I would argue Croatia might be a tougher match. That would be their second game, correct?
Yeah, I can see that. Croatia, again, another team that's maybe past their golden generation. They're old. They're good though.
Yeah.
They're rolling into this World Cup, having steamrolled their group. They beat Denmark, which is another favorite for this tournament. Um, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. If I'm a realist, if I look at the easiest path, I think for Canada to qualify for the next round, the round of 16, you lose to Belgium, fine. You draw Croatia and you beat Morocco.
That is
And then
a mirror image of what the United States did in their last
yeah,
round. Draw Portugal, beat Ghana, lost to Germany.
there you
And
go.
Germany went on to win the World Cup. So, what can you do in that scenario? The best you can. But that's going to be a great group. I think there's a lot of interesting groups. I did see Alphonso Davies is still a little bit injured. Do you know any more news on that? Is it looking like he's going to be fit?
Him and Bayern Munich have said he'll be fine to go for the World Cup. He's stayed with Bayern Munich. The rest of the squad is in Doha right now. They arrived 2 days ago after the Bahrain match. They kept, like, they're smart. They kept Davies with Bayern because they're saying he's getting the best treatment in the world. So why would we mess with that?
Sure.
So he's going to join the team on the eve of the World Cup. Probably a couple of training sessions with the team, and he'll be good to go. He'll be his normal self.
Now, what position is he playing for Canada right now? Because when I was doing my roster updates, they're listing him as a forward. He plays left back for Bayern, but he's a wing back. He's playing up top as much as he can. Are we going to see that same type of look from him, where he's going to be on the left side, flanking in all the way from their own box, or he'll be up top for most of the game?
I think the plan is, this is the biggest debate in Canada, by the way.
Okay.
Like, where to play Davies.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there's the school of thought. I sort of belong to it that he's one of the best left backs in the world. Why are we not playing him at left back? We have great forwards. Jonathan David, Tajon Buchanan, Kyle Larin, Junior Hoylett. Like, we are bringing so many forwards to Qatar, it's almost obscene. But he was announced as a forward when we announced our squad yesterday. And for Canada, he's played everywhere on the left side. He's even played in the middle as an attacking midfielder in a couple of games. And he's been great everywhere. This is the gift that is Alphonso Davies. You plug him in, and he'll be the best player on the pitch, wherever. So it's a little bit like David Alaba for Austria,
Mm-hmm.
where he plays an advanced position for his country because they need him there. I'm not convinced Canada need Davies that much up top, but you can't argue with the results when he's up there. It's just magic.
Now, he's easily the most marketable player with Canada, but is he? Would you define him as your best player?
Yeah, he's a player of a generation.
Okay.
Yeah. Jonathan David is not far behind. He is going to get a big move this winter as well. He's at Lille in France right now. He's led the league in goals last year. This year, this is a league with Mbappe, with Messi, with Neymar. He's magic. He's awesome. And there are a few teams out there that are in need of his type of forward. I can think of one called Manchester United, where they're going to get rid of their striker in the window.
Most likely.
If they can find a place that wants him.
Yeah.
But he's exactly what they need. There's a few other teams that are in the conversation. Arsenal has been in the conversation forever. And so it's going to be a record transfer for a Canadian player, because when Davies went to Bayern, he was still 17, and it was a $38 million transfer, I think. Wow. David is going to get 60 to 70 million transfer.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he's that good.
It's super interesting to see Canadian players on the rise, just because it's been, in my lifetime, I haven't seen anyone but Davies really play at a high level in Europe. We've had a couple of Americans come through, but nothing like Davies because of how young and how dominant of a team he went to. Bayern was already rolling. It's not like they needed Davies, but they utilized him in the best way possible and made him a really unique player that I think any club in the world would want. So it's fascinating to watch. I'm not going to say come to Liverpool someday, but I'm not going to, it might happen. You never know.
I'm just gonna take my toque off because, and I know that before we went live, I explained to you what a toque was because you're from California. Um, yeah, it's a little hot in here,
Yeah, I
but
don't blame you.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention Steven Eustachio. Davies might be our best player. Steven Eustachio is going to be our key player.
What
He
position does he
plays,
play?
he plays a number 6
Okay.
defensive midfield. He's a maestro. He is with FC Porto this year. It's his first year at Porto. He's already been midfielder of the month in the Portuguese league, um, like in September. For Champions League, he's been lighting it up, scoring goals left and right. And for us, for Canada, he's been just beautiful to watch. He is a distributor. He is a workhorse. Um, Keep an eye on Steven Eustachio.
You're giving me images of like a Busquets type player. Is that what we're seeing?
Even smoother than Busquets.
Okay.
Yeah. If you notice, I picked him in our Champions League pool, and he gave me a whole bunch of points. I was the only one who had him.
I'll be honest with you. I haven't looked at it much just because it was a pretty depressing group stage for me. I think that's the worst position I've ever been in any pool you've ever run. And I need to make a major comeback. So I don't know how I'm going to pull that off yet. Never choosing Holland is a terrible decision. I think we've all learned our lesson there.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, again, I'm going to probably watch every World Cup game like I do every single time this comes around. So I'm looking forward to every match. I hope you get to stick around to see them go to knockouts. That would be an awesome story. Please take a ton of pictures and videos, whatever you can, post them to the Discord. It's super neat to finally see someone that I know going. And then just to keep on the world track trend here, we're going to see 2026 a Canada, United States, Mexico World Cup. I plan on going to some, if not most of those games. So I hope that is the year we finally run into each other. I know that's still 4 years out, which is incredible, but I can't say I'm coming to Canada anytime soon. So let's make that a goal in 2026 that we finally meet up.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead.
We're talking already of making Vancouver our home base for that World Cup with access to Seattle. Just because it's convenient and we know people in Vancouver, so we can probably sleep on their couches.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 26 is going to be exciting.
Super excited.
The world is coming to us. And I know maybe you're too young for the 94 World Cup, but that was special too. So I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm pumped. We should be living in California or at least Colorado by that time in 4 years. So Santa Clara, I think, is one of the destinations that will probably be a host. And that's right where my whole family's at. So I'd definitely be going to games there. But we do want to travel to a couple places just to see other arenas and whatnot. Yeah. All right, just a couple questions about your pool. This has been a great thing that you have passed down to Chad and I, and something we've been obsessed since we've started. What year did you start this pool?
I think my first Premier League pool was in 2003.
Now, is this all handwritten?
This was Excel spreadsheets.
Okay.
But you can share Excel spreadsheets through Google Drive. That didn't exist back then. So what it was me sending out an email version of the Excel spreadsheet to everyone every week after I'd done the stats. So that was different. I didn't have a website with the spreadsheet on it or anything like that. You just had to wait till you got that email.
That would drive me crazy.
It was early 2000s for sure.
Okay. And when you started this league, did it just one day you decided I'm going to do my own fantasy football league because basketball and American football was taking off, and there's no other pool like the one you've created.
So the NFL pool is another. Oh, I've lost you here. Hold on.
I can hear you. We're okay. I'm okay on my end.
Cool. Okay, gotcha. I had an NFL pool at the time. I was huge into fantasy football, that type of football. And in '98 was the France World Cup, and that's the one that really captured my heart. Anyways, for a number of reasons. then as that World Cup was done, I was like, okay, well, I'm not done with soccer. I love this thing. So how do I keep it going? And coincidentally, like this is when broadcasters in Canada started broadcasting the Premier League. And so a few years in, I was like, okay, I love fantasy sports. There's nothing really available to Canadians for fantasy soccer. I'll do it. I have a bunch of friends who will be on board, and let's just do it. And I was the Voyageurs are the Canadian supporters, right? I was on a really primitive chat board in 1999 or whatever when we started this, and I put out the word that I was starting this thing. And yeah, like you said, it was different than others because I had nothing to base it on. And the only other pools that were available were those money pools where you have a budget, and I never liked those. I wanted to be based purely on players you like and with some limitations and the stats that you could actually, while watching a game, you could count them as it's happening. That was my philosophy when I created this pool. It's worked out. We're 20 years in,
That's
uh,
crazy.
and uh, and yeah, I'm really happy you guys took it over. In my career got a little crazy in the past couple of years, and so it took a lot of time away from doing the work of the pool. And so I'm really grateful that you guys took it over, and it couldn't have gone to better or more dedicated people. I absolutely love what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. We've always had a passion for the leagues you've ran and just soccer in general the last decade. For me, I've always been around the sport. When I was playing it when I was little, my family hosted Liverpool youth players and coaches when I was little, so I was always around the game, which is how I fell in love with Liverpool. Still friends with them this day. I went to Europe a couple years ago for their wedding, but I never really got heavily involved within the sport until the 2006 World Cup, when the United States and Landon Donovan kind of made a name for himself. And then, throughout high school in that time period, it just kept growing and growing and growing. Finding your league in 2014. It made me realize how much more there was to just watching the games. And now, I don't think we're going to stop this league. My girlfriend's now a huge Arsenal supporter. I test her all the time when I'm saying, "Hey, did you see how Arsenal did today?" And she goes, "Oh, they don't play tomorrow till 6 a.m." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're paying attention." So she will be in this league next year. She's doing the World Cup pool this year for the first time. She's in our Survivor pool, so she's getting super involved. So my mom's involved now, my dad's involved. I'm trying to get my whole family involved, especially with the World Cup coming in 4 years. There needs to be a hype coming to the States, because I think it could be a big year for us too because of how young we are. I'm not expecting anything this World Cup. I think this is going to be a weird transition, especially because we didn't make it in 2018 and 2014. That was the end of our golden era too.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a test, and I think if we do decently, it just huge expectations for 2026. That's for sure. So yeah, I'm excited. I can't believe this thing starts in 6 days. What a strange time to have it. But yeah, I'm excited. I don't have much more to say other than let's get these games started.
Yeah, you're right about the timing. When we played that game against Jamaica in March, which was a clincher, but even before that, we sort of could see it coming that Canada was going to qualify. Laura, my wife, and I, we sort of looked at each other and we were like, we have to do this. Like, it's like for me, I told you about 98. 98, I also like was wondering what am I going to watch, but I also wondered, well, what's Canada doing? Why isn't Canada involved, right? And like I said, I joined that chat group online, the Voyageurs. Um, and there's been some dark times for us since then. Um, this is special for us. This is there's 25,000 Canadians going to Qatar.
Wow, that's a huge number.
It is a huge number, and the fever is starting to pick up here in Canada. It was sort of happening when we were in the final qualifying stages. People were getting on board, so there was that lull over the summer, but in the past weeks, our media has really, really started going all out for Canada and its soccer team going to Qatar. It's and for a fan who's been there since '98 and gone through all those not very many ups, lots of downs. This is a dream come true. It's really is. It really is. I never thought that they could get to this World Cup. My hopes were dashed too many times in the past, and I was sort of always pessimistic about our chances. And so when these young players started coming through, and like Davies and David and Stacchio,
Super exciting.
It's amazing. And we couldn't have done it without the MLS. That was a big thing for Canada, having 3 teams with academies, with players who couldn't, like if you were 14 and you were a good soccer player in Canada in 2002, there was no pathway for you. You had to go to Europe at 14 years old.
I imagine that just didn't happen very often.
It did. Yeah, it did, but not often, like you said, because what 14-year-old is built that way, right? Julian de Guzman, yeah. Atiba Hutchinson, yeah. But other than that, it was really tough. So we didn't have players playing high-level club football. And when Toronto FC came about, Montreal, Vancouver, with their academies, there was still a big step missing, but there was at least that, and that created a lot of Canadian talent. Now we have a clear pathway every step of the way with the Canadian Premier League. Anyways, I'm rambling on, but like, just everything to say, this is the culmination of a long, long journey.
I will say, never take a World Cup for granted. We learned our lesson in 2018 when we lost to Trinidad and Tobago. That was, I remember exactly where I was. The moment when we lost, it's something that's seared into my memory, and I was so into the men's national team during that year, so hyped to go to that World Cup, and then that was like the biggest letdown. I don't want to say of my life, but it was that moment when you've rooted for something so hard, especially 4 years ago when we did, pretty damn good in the World Cup as far as my standards go on the world stage, and then just to be let down like that hurt. So now we're going back. I'm trying to keep expectations low, but it's the World Cup is something special that after this, is it 2026 when we go to 40 teams and we expand? Yeah, so it'll be a little different then. I don't want to say it's easier for teams to get in, but it'll just be a little different for some countries.
It is.
So this one just feels a little extra special to be the last one of that kind of format.
And to that point, it would have been great in 26 no matter what for Canada as a host country, but to qualify for the World Cup and prove that we can do it before getting the automatic slot into 26 was extra special. Yep. These players, it was important to them to do this, to show the world, we belong. It's not because you're giving us a freebie.
Yep. No flukes.
Well,
Theo, this has been a great chat. I'm super excited for you. I hope Canada does awesome in this next 2 weeks. I'll be rooting for them for sure. It'd be amazing to see them go into knockouts. I hope we do not have to play you. It would be a dream to see the United States versus Canada in the finals. You never know. Hey, you never know. But yeah, we'll leave it with that. Fly safe. Have a great travel. Have a great vacation. I hope y'all make it to knockouts and you can stay in Qatar for just a little bit longer.
We'll see. I hope so too.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Theo. Appreciate it. Take care.